Hey, welcome back to From Scratch Ranch. Jason here, and this is the second video of a three-part video series that we're doing on installing our arena lights for our horse arena. The first video was all about pouring our concrete piers. So we had to dig our holes, drop our forms, build out our rebar cages, put those in there, get our electrical conduit and all that, and pour our concrete. So check that video out if you haven't seen that already. It turned out pretty good. So this video is all about the light poles themselves that we're gonna build from scratch using some steel that I bought from the local steel yard. I've got some 4x4 by 20 foot 11 gauge steel poles that we're going to weld some mounting plates to, and then this angle iron across the top to bolt our lights onto. So we're going to weld all that together. But before we do that, I need to find the height of all of our concrete piers we put in, because they're all just slightly different, because this arena is not level. It does slope for drainage purposes. And so I don't want all of our lights to be with the contour of the land. I want them to all be on the same plane level with each other. So that way it looks really nice with the sight lines of the roof of the house and the barn and everything like that. So it's going to look really good, I think, all on the same plane. So I need to use my laser level here, this rotary laser level, to find the heights of each one of the concrete piers and the differences between them all, so I know how much to cut off of each one of those 20-foot length poles to get them all to be the same height in the end. So let's get to work. Be able to see that high up. There we go. All right. So now I've set my measuring stick at the height of the lowest pier. So now I'm just going to go around and document the difference between this one and the ones that are a little bit higher. All right, gotcha. All right, to measure the difference in the height of these piers, you can see here this pier is a little bit higher than the other one by seeing how this detector is higher compared to the laser out there that's rotating around. So what I need to do to find the difference is to lower this stick to the side here until I hear the beeping, like so. Get that dialed in. Okay, right about there. And then look at that measurement on the stick to see what that is. So that is set at 4.5 inches. So that means this pole here, I'll cut 4.5 inches off that 4x4 steel post. Whew. That one's a lot. All right, right there. That is 1 foot 10 inches. Wow. So yeah, on this high side, this is pretty high. So I got to cut 1 foot 10 inches off this pole here. That's quite a bit. All right, so the last one here, which is going to be the highest, I can just tell by looking at them. I'm not sure how much higher it is than the last one though. That was 1 foot 10 inches. So here we go. Here's 1 foot 10. Okay, so it's not too much. There it is right there. Exactly 2 feet. So that means that this arena has a 2 foot difference between the lowest and the highest pier here. And that may not be because of the ground, because this is actually dug out on this side. The arena is dug down a little bit, so the arena is not sloping 2 feet. It's just that this pier is actually probably a little bit taller than the other one because of how deep I was able to go because of the stone. And then also this side of the arena on the high side is actually dug out to level it off a little bit. So even though I created this template here to make sure all of my bolts are perfectly perpendicular, plumb, well, as close as I can get, there is a tighter tolerance on the steel than there is in the wood, in the holes that were drilled in this wood. So there's a good possibility that lower down towards the concrete, it may not be exactly the way it is up on the top, right? So I'm in a unique position here where I haven't welded the mounting plate onto the post just yet, so I can dry fit this metal plate down all the way towards where the wood is here to make sure it fits before I weld it onto the post, because it would be a lot more difficult to do this when the post is attached and trying to get this all right. So if I need to make any adjustments on these anchor bolts here, I can just kind of bang them into place, just bend them just a little bit so they will fit within these holes here, or I can widen the hole just a little bit to make sure that everything is just right before I go and weld these plates onto the posts. Before I take this off too, I'm going to mark on the bottom side here the orientation of this plate. Just in case these holes, I mean, I know they were precisely drilled, but just in case, I'm gonna mark this. So this is the back. All right, and this is the northwest post. Okay. Okay, now for the dry fit. Make sure back, yep. Yep. Well, that one fit exact. All right, good. That's exactly why I did this. But I still got 3 more to check. They may not all be that way, but this one's good. This one is really good to go. Well, the other thing I can do while the plate is not welded onto the post is set my lower bolts underneath that the post will sit on. I can actually set all of these level while it's easier to do without the post attached to it. So I'm just putting one nut all the way down as far as I can go on all 4 of these bolts. And the reason I'm putting the nut underneath the plate is I can use these nuts here to plumb up the light pole if need be after it's mounted, or even during mounting. I can set the height underneath by using these bolts, or these nuts. All right, so I've got all my nuts. Throw my washers on there. These are pretty good size washers. And that's what that plate's gonna sit on, like so. Now, using my level, yeah, I can see it's kind of way off, right, on the heights. So now I can find the one that's lowest here and go down more. And I can start setting all of these. Okay, so now I got the front 2 left to right here perfectly level. So now I'll do front to back. Gotta raise this back side. I just keep turning that nut until I get it level. There we go. And then this side, this one looks pretty good. So that means the back side from left to right should be level, yep. My diagonals should be level. Yep. Good, so I've already pre-leveled all of this. Let's see how it looks. Now if I measure that plate, obviously it should transfer right. Yeah, we are looking good. We are looking good. All right, now on to the next one. All right. Ooh, that looks good. Huh, that's pretty darn close. All right, I don't think I need to do any banging on this one. Yeah, I think we're gonna be good on this one. All right, on to the next. Come on, let's get 3 out of 3. All right, this one's not fitting, but not because it's bent. Shoot. This hole here isn't cut cleanly. So right in here, so I need to just clean that out. There's a piece just sticking out. I don't know if you can see that. That's hitting the threads. Let's see if I can get that on there. There's like, yeah, see that? It's like a little piece, a little chunk. It's from the back side where it's not clean there. It wasn't a really clean cut. This was plasma cut. And he didn't clean it up for me. I said, I'll take care of it. So I just need to clean that up a little bit, and hopefully I'll fit. And I'm just gonna use a little grinding wheel. This is my drywall cutting tool, but I put a Dremel bit on the end of it. All right, glad I marked it on the back on which side goes which way. Let's see if that worked. Huh. Oh, but that's really darn close. And actually, I may not need to. I might be able to put those bolts on there, and that's going to be the right height anyways. I'm going to do that. All right. That's pretty darn good, man. All 4 of them turned out great. So little minor adjustments on some of the holes that I had to do just to clean out some of the debris that was in there, some of the metal to make it fit. But let me show you, in case you're in a similar situation or doing the same thing and you got some that are just out of alignment a little bit, put a couple nuts on the bolt like so. And even using a block of wood, you know, you can hammer it, you know, using what we call mispersuasion here, a little sledge. You don't want to hit it too hard, but just enough to start, you know, just bending it just a tiny little bit just to get it in there if it's just out of a bit of alignment. You want to use the nuts in a piece of wood or so you don't damage the threads at all. So that's how you would do that in case yours didn't turn out as good as mine did. Okay, I think it's time to start cutting and welding some steel. So the first one's 4.5 inches that I need to cut off the end here. Now the most difficult part is probably a 2-person job to lift these posts onto the saw here, because they're 20 feet long, 11 gauge steel, 4x4, so they're 125 pounds a piece. So I can probably get it myself, but it'll probably be easier with a second person. But I don't have a second person at the moment. It's not so much about lifting it on, it's going to be about maneuvering it to get that line lined up right with the saw blade, just right. And I'm using this steel on this end, stacked up to be the height of the base of the saw there. So that way it's not sitting at an angle. And I'm gonna have to. Wow, this Evolution saw, that's a 4-inch 11 gauge, and it cut through that like butter. That was great. All right, 1 down, 3 to go. Ready? So this one I got to cut 1 foot 10 inches off of. Now that I got all my posts cut to length, it's time to cut the cross members, the horizontal pieces, this angle iron here, that's going to be across the top of the post so I can mount the lights to it. So I need to cut 2-foot sections out of this 3-inch angle iron for that. Now, this is 3-inch, so it's 3x3. I probably should have done 4-inch because the posts are 4-inch. And if this was 4-inch, then I could have just set it on top, welded it on, and it would have been capped off. I wasn't thinking. So if you're doing a similar project, go with the 4-inch instead of the 3-inch. It's probably not that much more money to go with the 4-inch. So because I didn't go with that, I've got the cutouts from the mounting plates that I'm going to use. They're 4x4 to weld on the tops of the posts to cap them off. So it's a little extra work for me. So yep, I got to cut these into 2-foot lengths. All right, this is the LED sports light from ledlightingsupply.com. I bought all of these lights, so I'm not sponsored by them, and they didn't send these to me for free to do this review on these lights. And this video is not really the review on these lights. That'll be the next video. But if you're interested, they did send me a discount code for our From Scratch Ranch viewers. So check that discount code below in the description if you're interested. So this light here is 12 inches wide, and it's got a mounting bracket already attached to it, and it's got a center point hole here I want to use because I want to be able to pivot this light. So I just need to drill my holes in this angle iron about 6 inches in from each side so that I can mount this on there and turn it just a little bit. Alrighty, fire up. I got that, I'm just using a little wrench for a spacer, so it raises this up just a little bit on the bottom. So you got a nice edge all the way around to fill in, okay? Would it make it easier just to rotate it so you're always on top?
Yes.
We can do that. Good? Good enough, yeah.
This one's not pretty.
That's okay, it doesn't need to be pretty. It's gonna be like 23 feet up in the air. Okay, these are the mounting plates that we're gonna weld onto the posts. This is a 10 by 10 square. I bought some 10-inch wide flat strap. This is ½ inch thick, and I had the steel yard cut them into 10 by 10 squares for me. Then I took it to a local fabricator here, gave him a design of the size of the square here, the 4-inch by 4-inch square with my holes in the corners. These are 5/8 inch holes. I gave him those dimensions, and he put this on his plasma cutter and cut all 4 of these for me in like no time at all. And he charged me $30 a piece. So it was definitely worth it that I didn't have to use a drill press to drill all these, and my cutting wheel on my angle grinder to cut all these squares out. That would have been a nightmare. These are all perfectly cut with a plasma cutter. All right, so Makayla is going to weld these on to the base of the posts like that, and let me have her show you what we're doing here.
This is the setup that we have going on to hopefully get it as perfect as possible.
And as strong as possible.
So we have a little wrench here using as a spacer, just to make sure that everything is spaced correctly all the way around the square. And we also have 3 magnets on the top, side, and bottom, both connected to the actual post and the base plate. They're perfect 90-degree magnets, so it should make sure that it's plumb and pretty much perfect all the way around. So on this side, I am going to weld this 90-degree angle here on the top, but then I'm also going to come back to the bottom just as extra strength and support, and just weld pretty much this seam here because it's not going to be sitting flush against the concrete. It's actually going to be raised up a little bit because of the nuts at the bottom.
Right.
So pretty much having that bump of that weld up won't affect anything.
Cool. All right, let's get welding. All right, ready?
Yep.
Next stage. I ground down your beads here. They were a little fat. No, it's all right. But on the one side, because I need to lay this flush on there, I'm gonna weld here, I'm gonna weld here, right? This is where we're gonna mount the lights to. Got it?
Yep.
2 welds, that's it.
Yep.
Now that all of the welding is done and looks fantastic, I need to cut some holes in the post itself for this junction box. I'm going to attach this electrical junction box to the lower portion of the pole here so where I can do all my wiring in this junction box. I also need to cut a hole on the top side of the post for another junction box for where I'll do all the wiring for the light fixture itself. So to cut that hole, I'm just going to use my angle grinder with the cutting wheel on it. It's a metal cutting wheel. And I'll just cut a small square that'll be hidden behind this box here once I attach it. All right, there we go. Like that. So that'll work out great where I'll be able to mount this box right on top of that hole, just like so. And what I'm going to do is grind the back side of these, like if you can see there, and I'm going to use JB Weld to weld that on there. This is a steel reinforced epoxy. So we're going to attach it using epoxy. This should work really, really well. Hold it on there really well and make it waterproof also so no water can get in there. So once I do all my wiring, then we'll just put the blank cover over it. This is a waterproof, weatherproof cover. We'll just seal it off that way. We should be good to go. So I've got quite a few of these I need to get grinded. Yeah, that looks great. That'll definitely work. It's going to give it a nice flush. Yep. Okay, so we've got the steel and the hardener. So we just mix 50-50. Before I can prime and paint all of these posts, I need to clean up the oil and any dirt and everything with that acetone there. You can see here all the fingerprints and it's just kind of nasty. There's oily substance on these poles. You can see the ones I just did, the difference. See how nice and clean those are? All right, here is the primer and paint that I'm going to use. It's by Rust-Oleum. It's the Farm and Implement paint, heavy duty, weather resistant, rust preventative. I really like this primer and paint. I picked this up at Tractor Supply. I'll put a link down below in the description if you're interested in looking up this paint here. But I've used this before on our 200 linear feet of steel railing that we welded and installed on our Modern Farmhouse for that cable railing system that we put in. And it turned out really well. I like especially the low gloss black. So this is what I'm going to use on our light poles here. So I had Makayla weld on this extension here. It's 1x2 inch tubular steel, and that is to mount our new Wavelink AX3000 outdoor Wi-Fi access point that will reach about 1,000 feet radius around that thing. It's going to be awesome. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure you look out for that video. That'll be coming out soon. Wow, did these turn out really cool. I'm super happy with this. The big question is now, did I save any money by making these light poles from scratch versus buying them? I don't know. Looking online, it looked like the cheapest pole I could possibly buy was like almost $600. And the most expensive, in the range that I was looking at was about $1,800. So it's a pretty wide range, $600 to $1,800. So did I come in less than that? Well, each one of these poles cost me $100. This is 4x4 inch tubular steel, 11 gauge, 20 feet long. They were $100 a piece. Then I have the mounting plates on the bottom. These are 10-inch square. This is a 40-inch piece that they cut for me into these 4 pieces at the steel yard. And that cost, including the cuts, $25 a piece. So there's $100 right here for all 4 of them. The cutting of the holes, I took it to a local fabricator who charged me $30 per plate to cut all of these holes with his plasma cutter. And so I thought that was a pretty good deal to get that kind of precision. So $120 for those there. The junction boxes here, those were about $12 a piece because these are metal weatherproof boxes, so $12 a piece, and I've got 8 of them, so $96, so roughly $100 for those. The plates on top, the cover plates, those were $1.50 a piece, so a few bucks for those. The JB weld that I used to attach the boxes to the metal here, that was $20 for that packet. The primer to do all of this per quart, it took me about a quart to do this. Even I bought a gallon because it's cheaper by the gallon, but for a quart of this that it took me to do this, $30 for a quart of the primer, and also $30 for a quart of the black low gloss paint. So what else? Oh, for the welding, the weld wire, the MIG weld wire that I had, we went through about 2 pounds of that, so it's about $20 for that. So in total, $946 for all 4. All 4. So let's just call it $1,000 for all 4. So $250 per pole. That's pretty good for making it from scratch. Now, granted, that does not include the cost of the tools, the initial investment I had in all of the tools that I use. For example, the Evolution metal cutting saw, the welder, miscellaneous power tools that I had, like grinders and cutting wheels and hand tools and whatnot. So, but that's just something, if you live on a ranch or on a farm or just out in the country and you're self-sufficient, you need to invest in those kinds of tools to have, because you're doing a lot of things yourself, because it saves a lot of money in the end. All of my tools have already paid themselves off many, many times over. So I highly recommend investing in the right tools to do the job right. Speaking of the job doing right, I think if I bought this quality of a pole, it would probably be around $1,000. I'm guessing, but I'm just thinking it's about $1,000 a piece. So $4,000 for all 4 of these versus the $250 a piece, $1,000. So I think I did pretty good by making these myself. So if you're interested in any of the tools that I've used or some of the materials, I've got some links down below in the description for you to check out, including the lights. So the lights that we're going to install are these 150 watt LEDs from ledlightingsupply.com. I'll put a link down below for this also, including a discount code that they gave me for you to use if you're interested in purchasing these. That leads me to the next video. So in the next video, we'll be working on wiring up all these poles, installing the lights up on top up there, getting them mounted out there, and doing all the electrical outside. So look for that video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it, that you can build light poles from scratch if you wanted to and had the desire and the determination to get it done. It can be done. Hit that like button if you did like it, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already so you can be alerted to the next video, like I was talking about, of actually getting these lights installed on these poles and the poles out on the concrete piers. Check out that video too if you haven't seen that, the one that we just did installing those concrete piers that we're going to mount these light poles to. So until next time, keep living the dream. So I got 4x4 posts. This is just a piece of it, right? So we have our that's why you wear steel toe boots.